Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the Urban Affairs Committee to order at 5:30. We have, actually, the agenda shows 4, but we finished one the other day, so we have 3 items to take up this evening. As we're now calling it, the Wayside District zoning, or the Route 20 East zoning, the Imaging Center for Marlborough Hospital, and the project known as Trailside Terrace at 19 Ash Street. Councilor Doucette is recused from the Route 20 East or Wayside District zoning, so we're going to take that up last. And we're going to start with the hospital, if we have the folks here for the Marlborough Hospital. If you'd like to come up and sit. Pardon me? Go ahead and have a seat.
Oh, he's critical.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that we have a whole lot to do, so...
Yeah.
So let me actually read this. So we're taking up order number 19-100, 7824, application for special permit from attorney Brian Falk, who hopefully is on his way, on behalf of Marlborough Hospital and UMass Memorial Realty, Inc., to add a new women's imaging center, seeking a finding to alter a pre-existing non-conforming use and alter the pre-existing non-conforming lot coverage from 48.2% to 49.2% at 157 and 209 Union Streets. So to start, Councilor Jouer and I were talking about it and have been over there looking. When you're going on Union Street, this is going to be into the entrance closest to Hudson Street, the hospital. This is going to be right on the left.
Yes.
So how far, so is the parking lot, the new parking lot going to be right up? How far up is the new parking lot going to start? So I kept looking and looking, I wasn't sure 100%.
We have a PowerPoint too that Brian.
Oh, Brian's going to bring that, okay. Well, why don't we, so Brian's involved in the second one as well.
So, I mean, I can just answer that question quickly, but it's, so the edge of the parking starts 15 feet back from the property line, which satisfies that parking buffer.
15 feet back from,
The property line.
okay.
So from the street, there's about another 15 feet of landscaping between our property line and the sidewalk.
Okay,
Along Union, so
it's-
it'll feel 30 feet-ish back.
gotcha. So it's pretty close. And how far in will it be from the driveway?
10 feet from
So it's pretty close, yeah.
the parking, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Hey, Sarah, do we have a PowerPoint from,
so it's
Okay.
pretty, it'll feel pretty similar to the other side
Yep,
of the driveway.
yep.
The parking that's already there.
Okay, cool. Does anybody have any questions about the building, about anything else in this regard? The only thing that we had requested, the city requested, was that you add a sidewalk,
That's correct. Yep.
right? Which should be pretty easy.
yeah.
Now, is that sidewalk going to go all the way, where exactly do you plan to put the sidewalk?
So we were envisioning having the sidewalk come from the sidewalk on Union and coming right up to our building and along the edge of our building. So it's basically the length of that driveway before it forks off.
Okay, until it starts going to the left there.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions about that? Mr. President, you good with that?
No, I find that it's interesting that there is no sidewalk up there now, right now.
Right.
The only way to get into the hospital is by walking in the roadway.
It's good for business for them.
Yeah.
Create customers.
Yeah, the only concern I really have is the screening of the neighbor. There's only one real neighbor behind you, which is the Battaglinos, and it's their backyard, to make sure that they have proper screening from your property so that they'll have the privacy that they deserve.
If you see on the site plan too, behind the house that's owned by the hospital, there's all that new screening.
Yeah.
So please make sure you speak into the microphone if you're going to.
Grab that.
Well, I was just
You
going
can
to
take
say,
it off if it helps you.
That comes up.
I was just going to say that this is all new planting here. This is existing trees, and we actually did a study from the deck of the house next to us, and we showed that when all this is in place, you're not even going to see the new building pretty much.
Okay.
So there's an area there that's, I'm sorry, Mr. President, you still go? Are you done?
Yep, no, it's okay, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So as you go up and kind of go around to the left, there's that area that's fenced in and a chain link fence, kind of a depressed area.
It's the
Does that have anything to do with,
Back here.
yeah?
Behind the
That's got
building.
nothing to do with this, right? That's just there to keep the kids probably from falling in?
Yeah, I think that's an existing drainage.
Right.
Basin that we're not modifying at all. We're
So-
taking care of our own drainage on.
So I used to take my dad, out to the cancer area in the back to get his shots and all that stuff, which they do a great job, by the way. And I'd see the school buses stopping, dropping off tons of kids that presumably went over to the daycare center. Is there going to be any conflict with that? I don't see why. Right now, they'd stop the bus, they'd get off on the grass there.
That's one of the reasons that we're putting in the walkway from here to the back of the building, because apparently people get dropped off, kids get dropped off
Right.
here, so now they're going to be able to walk along the sidewalk.
Right, I think they would walk on the grass, but now they'll have a sidewalk and,
Right, it's going to
Better in
come
the
right
snow
along
and-
here and go all the way to the back.
yeah, that's better than them walking through the snow and mud and all that, so.
Absolutely.
All right, good. Any other questions? So the only question I have is on number 7, the condition on number 7, which is really a more a Brian Falk thing, is talking about the final details of the walkway to be addressed during the site plan review process. I'm not sure that language is exactly perfect. I don't know if we want to say a walkway acceptable to site plan review or something like that, but I'll take that.
There he is.
And there he is.
We're speaking
There he
language, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
So we're almost done.
No worries.
We're almost-
No, it's
we're
all
almost
good.
done. We're doing real good.
So all our questions have been answered, and they've been very few. The only question was about the pedestrian access, the sidewalk.
And the wording of,
So I just want, in my mind, I just want to make sure it's a sidewalk that's acceptable to site plan review. Versus, and your language says, with the final details of the walkway to be addressed during the site plan review process. So if you could just tighten that up to make sure it's acceptable to the city engineer and all those people at site plan review.
absolutely.
Other than that, I've got nothing else. Anyone else? Okay, a motion would be in order then.
Motion to approve.
Councilor Jouer, a motion is made and seconded to approve as amended. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gentlemen, it doesn't get much easier than that.
Thank you very
We'll be
much.
thrilled to have this
Brian, we didn't even
new
need you.
center.
You know, I don't like to prove that.
All right, Brian, you can stay there. We'll go on to the Ash Street project.
That's why I went so fast. Thanks, I'll catch up with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Take care. Have a good night. All right, next, we're going to take up order number 19-100, 7809, application for special permit from attorney Brian Falk on behalf of 119 Ash Street LLC, David Scarron, to convert a pre-existing non-conforming contractor's yard to an 11-unit residential townhouse project and convert an existing single-family home to a two-family dwelling to be known as Trailside Terrace at 19 Ash Street. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, thank you.
So I had one quick question. So the units, they're all going to be two-bedroom units?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, okay. I thought I had heard there was going to be a three-bedroom unit, which was less interesting to me, but, all right, Mr. Falk, did you want to start with anything? I know the council has some questions.
Sure, so we had the public hearing on Monday night, and we submitted a draft decision Tuesday morning, incorporating a few of the comments that were brought up at the public hearing in the draft conditions. I don't know if you want to walk through those now, or if you want to go through the decision.
Well, let's, I know there were some questions that President Clancy had, and I thought maybe we'd start with those, and then we'll walk through the conditions, if that's
Sure.
okay. President Clancy, you had mentioned that you had some questions about pine trees that were maybe blocking visibility. You also mentioned sidewalk perhaps along Ash Street, and I don't know, maybe there's something else, yeah.
Okay, presently, the city of Marlborough has a view easement up, that, which they purchased a few years ago when your father was alive. And it allows for sight distancing up the street so you won't get picked off by a car coming down the hill. And my question is that, are they going to honor that sight distancing because of the new construction there?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at the plan, and the plan actually shows certain trees on the site. I don't know if you,
I mean, those trees, I think, would be outside of that line of sight.
yeah, I don't, for some reason, I don't have,
Sheet
oh, here it is.
C5, if you have it there.
Yeah, I have it right here.
I have an extra copy.
I have my copy right here. The problem that I have is that when you list the vegetation, they're listing the vegetation as one of them being like a JC or JU. I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, that is, okay, that's is a red, well, the JU is a red cedar.
JU is a juniper, eastern red cedar. What is a JP? Because
JP,
it's not on the planning schedule. There's no JP on the planning schedule.
Okay.
And if
That might be a spreading juniper. There's two types, there's the,
yeah.
there's
See, the thing, my concern is that if you put in eastern red cedars, they grow beyond 6 feet. If they grow beyond 6 feet, then you're gonna cut off the site distancing.
Yeah, the cedar that we're proposing is, they're gonna be behind the historic house. We're gonna put, I think there's about 3 of them back there. If you look at the C5, we have a sight line shown on there, and we're providing more than 335 feet sight line in each direction. And there's no trees proposed within that zone.
Yep.
We also have a condition that,
See, the main thing is that, we do have a fee easement on the property. And so, in other words, I want to make sure that it's not going to be compromised with any type of vegetation that might come in. Most likely, what you're going to have is a condominium complex here with a board of directors. Next thing you know, they're saying, well, it's not really our problem. It is a problem. As long as you just don't put in all those shrubs.
So, Mr. President, maybe a condition referencing the fee easement that the city owns and that they're required not to block, or probably say it
Site
less
distance.
clumsily, but not to block the visibility that we need.
Site distancing.
Site distancing.
Yeah. Also, another thing, Sarah, are you going to put any curbing in on the hill?
yes,
All the way down?
yeah, there'll be granite curbing throughout the site,
Inside?
inside.
I'm talking about Ash Street.
Ash Street, we're not proposing anything on Ash Street, but
Right now, there's no drainage on the street. There is no street drainage. So the way it is right now, when we have heavy rain, when water comes down that hill, and you know it, it washes out your lower driveway and pushes it right across all the gravel winds up on the rail trail. Is there any way to try to correct that by putting in like a curbing all the way up to prevent water washing? Asphalt curbing?
yeah, there will be, at the entrance, there's going to be, we're
Just that-
required,
That's only at the entrance, so I'm talking about going down the hill.
or down the hill. Yeah, that'll be built up slope-wise, just to bring it up so that the water does not come into the site.
Yeah, but that's only gonna be dirt. Dirt washes away. Is there any way to solve that?
Like put a bit curb in there or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we could address that and make sure that we do something to make sure it doesn't wash away.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, you know, I'm a frequenter of the rail trail, and one of the things that does happen is that we wind up with a lot of gravel.
I mean, part of that might be because it's, you know, the material there doesn't have a good root system from any kind of vegetation.
There
But
isn't.
a lot of times if, you know, the root systems are in place, it helps stabilize the soil, so it should prevent runoff.
Yeah. See, I
Maybe we
don't
can
know, I don't
discuss
know,
that.
maybe our
It's like-
city engineer could come up with some idea, you know, what
Mr.
they should do.
DePercio.
So, yeah, President Clancy's point is well taken. There's a drainage problem on Ash Street now that maybe when this goes to site plan review, we can have a chance in the meantime to look at maybe there is something that can be done as part of the project to correct that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another part of this is on, you know, you don't have any drainage going off into a system. You're gonna have a subterranean system. And your overflow comes out, and it's gonna come across, and it's gonna empty onto the rail trail. Now, it shows a level spreader going out across the rail trail on city-owned land.
Yeah, there's a swale that runs from Ash Street, about 1,200 feet down northerly along the rail trail. It's on the project side, and it's a grass swale, so we're proposing to just tie into that. And currently, what we're getting there for flow will be reduced substantially. due to the fact
Understandably,
that we have a-
understandably, you're gonna have, you know, you're gonna capture the water, you're gonna put it into the subterranean system, you know, but you still have some storms that are greater. And, you know, the biggest problem is that swale isn't very deep. You know, your father maintained it, you know, if it wasn't for his father, that thing wouldn't be maintained in a proper manner, so, somebody has to really take a good, in site plan review, hopefully, but they will take a good close at that swale to make sure that it is maintained, so that the water, when it leaves the site, will at least be conveyed off, not on the trail, but along the, beside the trail. But that was my only concern about just the drainage.
So
Thank you.
do we need to add conditions, or is that going to automatically be addressed? What would be the best, Tom?
That will certainly be something we would look at site plan review.
Okay, so we don't necessarily have to add conditions because that's kind of a basic for where you are.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for the committee, but it's definitely something we'll consider in site plan review.
Okay,
I won't speak for the committee, but site plan always brings up drainage and stormwater. I'm not concerned that they won't bring it up.
yeah, nor am I. But we do want the condition about the sight lines and all that.
Yep.
Let's see. All right, so, there was the question about, you had the question about the sidewalk, Counselor Doucette?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This may also be something that can be addressed at site plan as well, but basically providing a safe sidewalk access between the entrance of the facility and the rail trail. I think that would be important for this. Also, because of the curb and everything has an impact with drain and all that stuff as well. So,
So Counselor, you're talking about coming from within the community?
or basically from the edge of the access road, you know, right now, there's no sidewalk from the access road to the rail trail. It's grass, according to the picture that's being shown here. There should be a sidewalk.
To come out of the condos?
Across the condos. You know, basically from the entrance of the condos going down to the rail trail, there should be a sidewalk.
So that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that, you're no longer doing a fence.
No, the fence is not being proposed now. We had a discussion with the site plan review committee and felt that it was better to take the fence out and to grow vegetation there as part of a beautification of the rail trail itself. And there will not be a wall either. We're going to put like a small wall, like about a foot to a foot and a half high. That no longer is proposed, so that's been taken out of the latest set of plans that you have. We talked a little bit about the connector sidewalk, and that's something that we'd like to discuss with the site plan review on that, because it gets into safety concerns.
Absolutely.
The police chief is there. Also, the fire chief is there as well, discuss those items in the town engineer. We thought it would be a good idea to discuss it at that committee meeting.
I'm still a little confused. So you're gonna have that in front of the condos, a sidewalk in front of the condos?
No.
Inside the condos?
No, it would be if, for the access, we really don't want the public, traipsing across the
Right.
back of the condos. That wouldn't be good for the city or the condo owners. And so it would be like passive access from the condominium down to the rail trail, because there would not be anything that's going to prevent them from.
Right, so you don't want perpendicular sidewalks going all the way into the condo, because people will just walk in and do,
That's right, yeah, so it'd be more of a passive connection from the condominium if they want to walk down to the trail from there, or if they got some other condominiums that are not abutting the rail trail, for example, on the other side, they can go down the road and then they can, to the entrance area and walk down, say, like a path that's there, something like a gravel path, something that allows people to go from the condominium association down to the rail trail without having to go out to the street.
right, okay.
Okay, so that's different than what I was expecting, so now I'm confused. You could have an access path that basically goes somewhere into the middle of the condominium association. If you did that, then you may find that the public may take that as a shortcut. On the other hand, if if you basically have a sidewalk on the edge of the road, above the curb, basic sidewalk next to the road, then, it's going to be predominantly used by members of your association. Anyone else that's going to be going up Ash Street pretty much goes as far as your driveway, and then there's no sidewalk after that. So they're not going to go very much further than that. So I, take that as a grain of salt, but I think you don't necessarily want to have a path into the middle of your association.
So maybe a condition that says that you'll provide a reasonably safe access for your residents to the rail trail, and let you work that out with site plan review. Priscilla, yeah?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, the condition number 8 that we had drafted was an attempt to address this. As part of the site plan review process, the applicant shall address pedestrian access from the site to the abutting Assabet River Rail Trail.
Oh, good enough.
That's fine.
Okay, Counselor?
All good.
Counselor Jouer?
Thank you. Yeah, the other night at the public hearing, this was brought up, and there was something talked about a small access trail, like in the middle of the development, the middle of your property going to the trail.
I think when Larry Reeves was discussing the garage alignment with the existing building when it becomes a two-family, he was mentioning that access to the garage down below would be through easement. I think what he was referring to is that the person using that garage would come into the main driveway and then access the garage that way. He wasn't referring to an access easement across the property.
No, I believe he pointed out on the picture, and I'd have to look back at the tapes to verify that, but he pointed we could make a small strip here, just for the residents of the complex to have access to the thing, and that way, where he was talking about placing it would not persuade public use. I mean, I'd have to look back and see exactly how.
That's not part of the site plan now, but I think this condition 8 would accommodate whatever we work out with site plan committee to accomplish that goal, which is to make it easy for residents to be able to use the trail, but not to encourage the public to come traipsing through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want a sidewalk coming up into my little condo complex, because people are gonna go up there and sure as heck they're gonna relieve themselves and do crazy things, because People are crazy. President Clancy.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, going back to what I was saying, is, the drainage is going to go down. I picked up this picture, and I'm showing showing it on the big touch. And it shows the swale going down. If you're going to put any type of access to the trail, you're going to have to go across the swale. So you're going to have to put some piping in there that's not going to wash away. So you got to, if you're thinking about either putting a sidewalk on the upper end where it will greet the edge of the rail trail on Ash Street, or if you're going to put it down further, you're going to have to do something that's substantial. Over at the Villages on Crowley Drive, they actually ran a path down to the rail trail. They came off of Crowley Drive and went down and joined into the rail trail. This is something to think about, because this is a selling point to the sale of each one of these condominium units, access to the rail trail, a healthy living. Another thing is that one of the things that we're trying to encourage is flowers along the rail trail. We mentioned that to one of the other condominium. They're talking about reconverting the building just up the rail trail where D&N Van Lyons was into condominiums, and to have a trail of flowers all the way down. And I think this is one of the things that Priscilla mentioned in her statement to the council, that encourage you to maintain the trail, plus also if you could have some floral arrangements going down, and making it a nice place to walk, and versus having something like that.
There's some flowers there somewhere.
There's some flowers. I think they're in the greenhouse.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
But if we could do the trail of flowers, that would be nice.
And Priscilla, you could detail that in the site plan review, or it's referenced here, but I'm not sure how detailed we want to get here, or however you think we should best do that.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be detailed here. I think we can work it out at site plan, and my only comment was trying to figure out, I don't know if you put any condition that talked about long-term maintenance of that or something. We can work at that out through site plan, I believe, sort of as a maintenance agreement kind of thing. We can talk to legal too and just make sure that, I don't know if that, we need anything more formal than a maintenance agreement of some sort, but perhaps just make it vague enough so that we have to, that ongoing maintenance will be done by you guys on that.
We have a note on the plan currently to incorporate this concept, and I think we can work through it through site plan review.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just when we did Antico, they were looking for a special permit in their building, and one of the things that we came up with is that they would maintain the edge of the rail trail on their side of the rail trail, so it relieves the burden on the city for maintaining that section of the rail trail. So we can.
I'm okay with that. So, Brian, if you could add a condition to that, please. I don't know, Priscilla, I'm just niggling at me. I wonder, maybe we should just put in the condition about flowers in here too, just because it's hard. It's hard to find sometimes on a plan.
Yep, I agree. I mean, then it just pops it out, and it becomes an item to review.
Which will be fleshed out in site plan review, but.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's good. I feel better. Counselor Irish and then Counselor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A good idea to put that in. I don't know if it's the time now, but I'd like to address some traffic issues as well, Mr. Chairman. Is it a good time to bring that?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I would like to see some work going into that Ash Street area. We have an issue with traffic on the top of Ash Street going into Hudson Street with is it a two-way stop sign there? Is it four-way? Coming out of the hospital, so it's four. And also in the beginning of Pleasant Street into Ash Street. I'd like to see some possibility upgraded stop signs, the LED flashing or something like that worked in there.
LED flashing stop signs, they're the worst things ever.
But maybe even on the top closer to the hospital. But working with the chief to see with that.
Yeah.
Because right
I think we
now,
have two of them now, and I called John Galone the next day when they appeared and say, what is this? There's that one on Hildreth flashing all night long. Imagine if you lived right next to it.
Maybe they could do
That
it
thing is like, whoa, what, and a quiet little street. Really? Do we need that?
well, and Ash
It's your-
Street,
It's your ward, but it's.
well, I mean, Ash Street is quiet except on certain occasions when people don't stop at the four-way or completely stop at the end. And now adding extra traffic, I'd like to see some effort into the plans here to try to offset some of that with the more of a population on that Ash Street.
So, that's kind of a big thing. I'm not sure exactly at this point how we would deal with that.
I think it's, if I may, it's, it's really the police chief's call as far as the traffic signage and, because I know in the past that we've made recommendations and like crosswalks and things like that, and the chief.
You don't have any control over that.
Yeah, he wants to control that. He says sometimes if you put a crosswalk in the wrong spot, that can actually create a problem. 'Cause people
No,
feel
I
too
understand
safe.
that, absolutely, absolutely. It's just that now it's the process of the special permit, and this may be able to iron out some of these issues on Ash Street.
Yeah, I'm not, Counselor, I'm not sure that's within our purview.
Any mitigation to go into any traffic, or? I mean, working with the chief and traffic commission.
Right, so maybe through site plan review, you guys can review that because the chief's on there, everybody's on there, and take a look if there's any things that should be added. Would that be satisfactory,
That'd be
Counselor?
satisfactory, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. It was Counselor Roby and then Counselor Landers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding the four-way stop sign, I've lived in my house and used that four-way stop sign for, I don't know, 30 years. I would not want flashing four-way stop signs. I'm sorry, I totally disagree with the ward counselor for the western side of the street. I live on the
Maybe they can only
eastern
flash on
side.
his side. Yeah.
It's not an issue.
I think they're the worst invention ever.
No,
It's
and
horrible.
yes, there is an issue on the Pleasant Street end, but I don't think this development's going to really make any difference on that one. So I guess I would not be in favor of mitigation to deal with Pleasant. I guess I wanted to talk about the sidewalk, and although I appreciate the desire to put it in, I see a lot of people that do, especially from the hospital, they do a circle, so they will walk up Ash Street. There is no sidewalk now. So adding half a sidewalk to go up Ash Street seems kind of silly, because they would have to then continue back on the street again. So can you add it? Yes, but can you also live without it? I think the residents, if they want to get to the trail, will do just like everybody else does if they park at Kelleher and walk across that swale. And if anybody's ever parked at Kelleher and walked across the swale, you know that sometimes in the spring, that is a river. So I'm not sure what you're going to do to control that when it does happen, but it can be a river. And then sometimes it can be nothing at all. The only thing that I really wanted to point out, because I didn't bring my plan and I was on the GIS, both the order and the actual our order and our agenda have 119 Ash Street.
Yeah.
It is 19 Ash Street. Because I typed in 119 on the GIS map and came up
Yep.
in a whole different site.
If
So
I may, the
make sure we
address
correct
is
that.
19 Ash Street, obviously. The LLC that will be the owner of the property is 119 Ash Street LLC. That's the discrepancy. I assume, David, somebody already had 19 Ash Street when we went to register.
Something like that.
So that's why. I agree it's confusing. In fact, when I did a draft of this, David caught that I had used 119 in the wrong place once or twice. But the address of the property is 19, the LLC is 119.
119. Okay, all right.
Okay.
The order says on behalf of 119, oh, it does say LLC. Okay, read it correctly. And there is a typo in the order, but I'll tell you what that is, Brian. I don't need to.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Landers.
Just a couple of quick points. That blinking sign on Hildreth Street in Cook Lane, there was a lot of complaints about it, but there was 2 fatalities there. In fact, in one case, one ended about 150 feet into Morrow's yard.
Front lawn.
So that's the reason they put that up. But if you notice, it's only to stop in Hildred. It isn't to come down Cook Lane and taking, you know, a left onto Hildred. So sometimes you got to put up with something that's not desirable. I would not want that at the corner of my street, I know that. I think the other thing as far as, and I hate to disagree with my colleague next to me, you know, we're talking 11 units, maybe 22 cars. We're not talking 500 units, 522 cars. So I think, I understand your concern, Council, with Pleasant Street and Ash Street and even the hospital, but I think, I'm not sure if this complex is going to produce enough traffic that's going to upset the apple cart there. That's all, Mr.
Thank you, Counselor. I also think, though, with those blinking signs, if somebody goes that far off, 150 yards off, a blinking stop sign is not going to stop them because they're going about 90, where they should be going
Well,
25.
that's what they did, and they hit the stone wall.
Right.
They haven't done that again.
Well,
You only do that
I
once.
would expect somebody not to make that mistake twice, but Counselor Doucette and then Counselor Jouer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I do want to revisit the sidewalk. These are people that basically live just adjacent to the rail trail. They don't have to go to Kelleher Field or park there. They just walk over there. And, you know, Ash Street probably does need some sidewalks, and I think if we can build out some sidewalks at the beginning and kind of stretch it to go further over time, that's fine, because it can be done in stages. So I think getting the first stage done just to the entrance of this, I think, would be fine, but you guys need to figure out how you're going to connect it with, you know, planning, and then we'll figure out how that goes. So, thank you.
Okay, so you're still comfortable with the language, though? Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm very comfortable with the language.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. And also, I can ask Priscilla, Ash Street is a scenic road as well, I think. Oh, maybe I'll ask Tom, city engineer. So that's
I don't think it
a
is.
little different with sidewalks and stone walls and things like that.
Correct, on a scenic road, to remove sidewalk or trees that are in the right-of-way, you have to have a public hearing and go to the planning board.
Thank you.
Yep.
I just wanted to make that clear, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Very good. Counselor Jouer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to throw this out, see what the other councilors think. I know when we did the project on Jefferson Street, we had a condition put in that there's a lot of recreation that goes on in Kelleher Field, Ward 6 Park. There's a lot of, besides people that use the rail trail for walking, there's a lot of nonprofits that have permission to use the rail trail to run 5Ks. And I just would like to, you know, get everybody's opinion on putting a condition in that the buyers are aware of it, and that we have no intentions of ever stopping these nonprofits in schools and whatever. You know, however we did it with Kelleher. I mean, it's just something to throw out.
Is that really necessary? I don't think it is.
It's a non-cost item that,
Whatever
Yeah.
people think, but I don't think that's necessary.
There's probably 5 a year.
Yeah.
oh, I bet you there's more, but anyway.
Counselor Roby?
Kelleher Field, to me, is a totally different. There are games going on right next to where those are. The rail trail is a public trail, and I don't think you can stop anybody from doing anything on that. I don't know that people even need permission to be having their 5K on it.
Okay.
They need permission to use Kelleher Field to have it as the starting or ending point, but
All right, it was just something to, you know, that,
But
well,
it was a nice thought, though. Thank you. Anybody else?
You mean to say that we can't have
President
we can't have motorcycle racing over there anymore?
Just don't get caught, Counselor. Okay, so, let's see. So, Brian, if you wanted to go through your list and then add in the new things, we can kind of walk through.
Sure. So I'm on page 4 of the draft. Conditions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are nearly identical to standard conditions you always have. Flipping to page 5, number 6, lighting, that's become a standard condition on pretty much all the special permits we've been working on recently. Condition 7, which is unique to this draft, screening for abutters as part of the use. The applicant shall provide vegetated screening along the eastern side of the site to screen the use from abutting properties, with the final details of the landscaping plan to be addressed during site plan review process. This is in response to a comment brought up by an abutter looking for additional screening along that portion of the property. Number 8, we've discussed the pedestrian access to the rail trail from the site to the abutting Assabet River Rail Trail. Will work on that with the site plan committee. And then the additional conditions I heard tonight, first, a condition acknowledging the city's view easement and that a landscaping plan won't be designed in any way to interfere with that view easement. Second, a condition on our obligation to maintain the landscaping along our side of the trail, in addition to a condition that we are going to put in flowering landscaping along that portion of the trail, with the details to be worked out with the site plan committee. Another third additional condition I heard was to take into consideration review of any traffic impacts with the site plan committee along Ash Street. And that was my list.
So I'm not sure if that's a condition, but that's something that you'll take up with the site plan, I think.
We're
Yeah, you can
happy
make
to
it a-
do it. I heard
yeah.
it as a proposed condition, so I just
All right,
wanted to make
that's
sure
fine
we
with
had it
me.
on the table.
That's good. Let's do that. And that's all you have?
And that was my list, yep.
So one of the things, when we, early on, even last year, I started talking about this, was we talked more about amenities on the rail trail. So I don't really hear any amenities. I like the idea of the flowers, obviously, but I'm not sure if there are anything else that, Council Clancy, Council Roby, you folks use it a lot. Do we need a bench there, or are there any other things that we could, not major things, but some things that would be nice for people, or bike rack there to stop and take a breather, or any of those things?
It is very close to the very beginning of the trail where people have the opportunity to get out of their car. I can't imagine anybody would need to stop right there.
I might need a breather, but yeah.
There is a bench further along the trail. There are several benches where you have a nice view of the lake. A trash can, but there's a neighbor that lives not far from you that I think they have trash can in the back of their yard. I think the city might actually have one on the other side of that street. I don't see a need, personally, I don't see a need for a bench.
Okay, I definitely asked the right person. Counselor Clancy, did you have anything to add?
No, I know that there's always the concern of when you're coming down the trail, of crossing Ash Street, because people just speed down that hill. It's very dangerous. Over on Hudson Street, they have a green crosswalk, Dom. Somebody put that in as a test pad a few years ago. It's worn pretty well, but there isn't one down at Ash Street. Is there a special paint that they put on?
There is, and I didn't look that up before the meeting to see what that was, but you're correct, it has worn pretty well at that location.
It has done, the guy put it in as a test, it's almost like a special paint that he put down. I have no idea what it was. But, it's always a safety factor, and that's why I was concerned about the site distancing, from the original site now to the new site. As far as benches, benches are nice. There's some down at the Overlook. There's some down along the trails right by Assabet. And we put up birdhouses, but they get torn down, vandalized, things like that.
Those squirrels are crazy, man.
Yeah, two-legged squirrels. 14-year-old two-legged squirrels. But, I can't think of anything other than the fact that maybe, tell me, are the rails still under the road?
Yes, they are.
They're still under the road there.
Weren't
Yeah.
removed when they put
They're
the
never
trail.
removed, yeah.
Yeah, they are.
No.
Okay, so we had Counselor Landers, then Counselor Doucette.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up lighting. at these intersections, or the lack of lighting. I go to Chelmsford a lot, and I go the back way through Acton, Westford, into Chelmsford. And there's probably at least 5 crossings on 127. And the yellow lights are kicked on when a person, I assume, is within about 50 feet of the intersection. That's something we've stayed away from in Marlborough. Is there any reason?
No.
There is one at Ash Street,
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say.
crossing on Ash on the bike trail. You press the button and the lights will
These come
flash.
automatically when the people generate them. That would be the surest way. I mean, I'm just wondering how we've skipped these over the years.
I don't know.
No, but the
Probably the city
pushing the
engineer's
button
fault.
one works.
Not really sure, yeah. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll throw this out there anyway for an idea, but what about a water fountain? I mean, does it make sense to have, access to water, even if it's public water, on the rail trail? And maybe just either have a bubbler or someplace where you can refill water bottle. I mean, I'll leave it to you guys, because I tend to bring lots of water when I go on a bike ride.
I don't know. I worry about mischief and headaches with that.
I think they've even stopped using them in the parks.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong, but,
There's not a sanitary
Okay.
issue like.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we've all had a few good ideas. What about Councilor Chouware, please.
Thank you. That item Councilor Clancy was talking about, I can answer that through my old profession of line painting. It's either regular traffic paint, it's not a big cost item, or thermoplastic, which costs a little bit more. I don't know what they have there, but it's one of the two. They can buy a 5-gallon can of green paint, minimal, and then paint the white crosswalks. It's a minimal thing. I think that would be a good condition, to add that they provide a crosswalk going across that, because it is a dangerous area. And people are too busy watching their phones and looking at themselves in the mirror and drinking their coffee to be watching for
Provide
pedestrians.
a painted crosswalk
Painted crosswalk.
acceptable to the city. Is that okay?
That accept,
Yeah? Councilor Roby.
There is a crosswalk at the trail from one side to the other already painted, and I guess the concern, if they're coming down the hill speeding, they're not going to see something down at the bottom. So the flashing lights, I think, is what is going to get somebody coming from Hudson Street going down Ash. They see the lights flashing, they know there's somebody that's going to cross. That's already there. Can they repaint them? I guess to me, a concern that I see is that rail that's still in the road. The road is deteriorating at that rail. It needs to come out, and the road needs to be paved. But the whole road needs to be paved, so I'm not sure if I would make it their condition or if it's just an issue for the city.
Tom, do we know if that's on our list?
We're definitely aware of the condition of Ash Street. It's not on any immediate list.
Okay.
That's all I can say about that, but it's,
But can the rail
in
come
bad
out?
condition.
Is there a reason why it was left and paved over? Or can it at least be repaved? Because it's,
We
now
can take a
you're-
look at that.
You're bumping
Yep.
over the rail.
Okay, so do we want to put in Councilor Tenera?
All right, I'm sorry. I pretty much agree. Whether you put a sidewalk in, I'm just kind of going over the whole thing here. I guess, once you go to site plan review, I'd like to see a total plan again of the whole site. Whether they put in a sidewalk or not, I really don't care, but I do think you need to see the sight lines coming down the street, because it is curved. And I like not necessarily a sidewalk, but a curb just up for water. But
Well, I
other than
think-
that,
Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to come back to us.
Right.
In other words, we're going to put in conditions, and then things are required to be done by site. Usually, we'll do the special permit, then they finish up with site plan review, and they got to do it, because otherwise they won't get, then they go to the building department. If they don't have that all in order, it's, sorry, Charlie, you have to come back and the plans
Okay.
have to show this and you have to show that, so.
Right.
Because we're just a little short on time, so I'm not trying to push anything through, but
Yep.
that's pretty much how it gets done.
Yeah,
a lot
no,
of
it
the
is what it
times.
is. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you, Counselor. So did we want to have them paint anything, or forget about that? Whatever your folks.
I think a crosswalk besides the 2 bars that are there
So paint it
would
with
at least
that,
be a little bit more visible. I noticed,
with that new visible kind of
yeah,
paint
when
or
you throw
whatever.
glass beads on it, it's not a big deal. I mean, we're not talking $500.
Yeah,
You know, it's not a big cost item. I know, like, I'm on Hudson Street a lot, and boy, that crosswalk catches my eye. And, you know, because it's different colors.
well, let's try that. Can we do that? Okay, can you add that as a condition?
So it'd be a condition that we repaint the crosswalk associated with the rail trail at Ash Street with the approval of the city engineer.
Right, and I think eventually the city's gonna have to take over all the crosswalks anyway, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna put that on you, but,
You know what I'm talking about.
Okay?
okay, good. Anything else, counselors? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve as amended.
Motion is made and seconded to approve as amended. We've read off the conditions and, you know, the changes that we've proposed. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's approved 5-0. Thank you, folks. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
I think it's gonna clean up that rail trail and it's gonna look beautiful. So do a good job, please. Thank you. So we're going to take a 60-second recess, but nobody move. Okay, we're, Counselor? Counselor Landers, starting.
Yeah, I want to get everything out of the way.
We're now going to take up, so just for the, okay, we're now going to take up order number 19-100, 7716A, communication from City Solicitor Jason Grossfield on behalf of Councilor Delano regarding proposed zoning amendment relative to creating the Route 20 East, which shall now be known as the Wayside District. Order number 19-100, 7716. So we've gone through and we've had a number of meetings, and we're constantly making changes, upgrading. Among the highlights, we've taken out a number of the parcels. I know some of the councilors and residents wanted us to take out some of the areas that were 100% residential. We have done that. And so we've made actually quite a lot of progress. Josh, do you want to go through the highlights?
In terms of the changes?
Yeah, in terms of the changes. So we've, yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Good evening, Aaron. Good to be back. Josh Fiala, MAPC, Principal Planner. Happy that my colleague and direct supervisor, Mark Rassicott, could work with you all last time. So the changes that came out of that meeting with Mark, we changed the district name, as Councilor Delano suggested. Wayside District is now on all the materials. We've revised the boundary, so it goes now west to Wilson Street, removed several southern residential parcels from the boundary, updated the parcel list that's associated with that revised boundary. We've added new uses that were not in the use table that we were using previously, and amended our use table to be with the current city roster of uses, including adding a coffee roastery, self-storage, medical marijuana, and then assigned the uses appropriately, mostly based upon what was in the business district listed for those new uses. We've changed to allow drive-through restaurants and drive-through businesses by special permit, adjusted the multifamily note in the use table to state, it currently states single structures, and we've added a notation to allow or multiple structures. Refined the language for the parking lot accessory to further narrow that allowed parking lot accessory to be defined as for a new car sales use and can exist across the street. Adding a clarifying note to the mixed-use development that it may include horizontally mixed uses, meaning not in the same vertical stack of a building, but could be mixed uses across multiple buildings on a site. And then we expanded the signage section based upon the signage requirements of the HRMUOD, the Hospitality Mixed Use Overlay. And that is it.
Well, that's quite a bit, and this was all done in response to feedback from the council, and our starting point was in response to feedback from scores of neighbors and stakeholders over the years that have chimed in, all the experts that we've had over and over and over, and we've gone, we've really honed this thing, and we'll continue to do so to make it the best it can be, and by the way, so we've reduced the footprint. I hope next year that you folks will carry on and do the next segment next year, and either next year or the following year, finish up if there's going to be a third segment. One note, and I may ask the city solicitor to come up here. There was some concern about adding back that language regarding the parking lot accessory use, that because we didn't advertise it, that we cannot add it at this date. And Jason, I don't know if you want to come up here and address that, or Josh, if you had any opinion on that. I'm a little concerned about it myself, so.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, I think the concern we're always thinking about with amendments to the ordinance is does it change the fundamental character of the proposal that you had before you advertised? And I think there's some clarification that footnote may benefit from, just from the text itself, but I am a little wary about that. I haven't reached a full conclusion on it, but that is something we're looking at, and want to make sure that's not going to create an issue for the council. So.
Okay, so that's something you'll continue to research and decide if the council even wants to do it, whether or not that is going to be allowable in this iteration. They may have to fix it next year if the council wants to do it or not. Council, well, it was Council Landers first, and Council Roby.
I think if I understand you correctly, I've traveled that several times in the last week or so. I don't think that's going to happen too much. I can't see too many areas that you could take abutting parking areas and have a common pathway there. That's what I'd like to see. That really, helps out people going from one store to another. Mr. Chairman.
So Council, I think we're talking about a different thing. We're talking about an accessory use to a new car dealer, and them being able to do something within that zone that they can't do now. For instance, Marlborough Nissan's really the only new car dealer that I'm aware of there. They would perhaps be able to have this use now available to them. And the question was, because we had it in our original plans and then it got left off on an iteration that we advertised, whether or not legally we can do it if the council even wants to do it. So that's what we're talking about.
Which brings up an interesting question, Mr. Chairman. When you were going over the other situation, did you mention, I thought, maybe I didn't catch it, a new car parking lot?
That's what we're talking about.
Is that in or out?
That's what we're talking about.
Are we talking about the one across the street?
Yes, that's what we're talking about. So the fact is that it was originally being proposed, and then when we came to the public hearing and the advertisement, that footnote, just because we've gone through so many iterations, was left out. Now, can we add it back in? Because I'm just not sure if we can or can't. And then the question is, does the council even want to do that? So there's two different things.
Okay, that does bring up a thing. I mean, I'm going to support this because I think it's a good idea, and I guess it was kind of my idea to just go from Wilson Street east to the Sudbury line for now. But as you mentioned a few minutes ago, I hope the next council does expand that somewhat. But I do have reservations. I don't find it attractive at all to have a parking lot filled with cars. I don't care if they're brand-new cars or previously owned cars and stuff like that. Now, if Marlborough Nissan wanted to somehow expand on their side of the street, they've been there a long time. I can remember when they used to sell cars and boats there. But I really have, I wouldn't find that acceptable to have a gigantic car lot with maybe 150 brand-new shiny cars across the street. And I would not support that.
completely understand it. And so, counselors, we got a whole new set of documents. And so this is in the table of uses, on the second to last page, it's footnote 27, that's parking lots and garages. And as I'm reading it, I'm a little confused myself, Josh, because it's saying the accessory car parking lot shall be located within 500 feet of the parcel of the primary use, but it shall not be located on the frontage of Route 20, which I think that company there had an idea of being across the street, but this would not allow that. So I'm not sure that that portion makes sense for them or us.
I think what we've been grappling with is its consistency as a use on the Route 20 corridor as we're trying to move the Route 20 corridor into something more walkable and pedestrian friendly. So a car parking lot is not necessarily that. I think that what we're trying to negotiate in the language here is a frontage directly on Route 20 that is improved in terms of landscape or screening. That may not be a parking lot, but then the depth of that lot may include parking. So,
Could you say that again, please?
We've tried to leave it a little bit to, I will say it again, but we've tried to leave it a little bit to the council's interpretation for future approvals. What we're trying to say is that the parcel in question does front on Route 20. Parking could occur in that lot, but what we're trying to do is reserve the frontage of that lot for something better than, so we wouldn't want parking, for example, we haven't specified a distance, but we wouldn't want parking at the edge of that parcel. We'd want there to be a buffer, some landscape, and some other screening potentially, then the parking. So that's what we're trying to.
So essentially, you wouldn't be able to see it very well.
Correct. And that would be I think the benefit to the city of allowing that use to occur is that the frontage may be improved from what it is today if it's a vacant or underused parcel.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Roby.
Thank you. I guess my concern was twofold. First of all, we've got still no on the page that says auto service facilities, and we've got no on auto sales and service. And I thought we were pretty much in agreement at the last meeting that we would not want new auto dealers. So the language says for new car dealers only. There wouldn't be any new car dealers. My second
Dealers
concern-
selling new cars is what it really should say.
Well, my second concern is the definition of 27, and maybe it's because it's what I want it to be. Parking lots and garages, automobile parking garages or lots are permitted. It's not a car dealer showroom. It's a parking garage or parking lot for residential or a business that they're talking about. And to me, they're two totally different things. I don't want somebody's car showroom to be on Route 20 anymore. Not when we're redesigning this to be something new and pretty. And we want landscaping, and we want trees, and we want flowers, and we want the parking behind the buildings, not in front of the buildings, but now we're going to let a car dealer have their cars parked there? So
That's a very cogent argument, very reasonable. Would anybody else like to weigh in on that? Because I certainly have reservations about it myself. Let's let somebody else go. Go ahead, Councilor Jouer.
I have to, I just can't visualize that as being a parking lot. I mean, the cars are there, they're gonna have that white all over them, that covers the windshield, the hood and the trunks and all that.
So I think what the plan was, that they had talked about years ago, was they were gonna have their new car lot where it is, and across the street was basically gonna be selling more cars. And I think the used cars were gonna be over there or something of that nature.
Which they can't do.
They can't do now.
Previous owned cars.
This would allow that. Do we think that's a good use? That's the question.
Well, where they're at further up on Route 20 now, their lot is way out of sight. Nobody knows it's there except for a little sign.
Right, that's different. That's not on Route 20.
Correct. So to have that on Route 20, I mean, we're trying to change the look of the entrance of the city, and I wouldn't support it.
Okay.
See,
Counselor?
I think that's the discussion. I'm not sure if we had in the great depth. I'm all for this. I think we have to do something to Route 20 East. Are we looking for economic growth, or are we looking for beautification? Of course, quite honestly, we want both.
You got it.
All right? So I think flowers and trees and all that kind of stuff, you know, I'm a big supporter of landscaping. So if we even think about putting a area that's gonna house 150 cars, I don't care whether they're new with the plastic on it or the used cars, you know, I don't think that's what we want there. You know, it doesn't add anything to Route 20, and first of all, it doesn't add any real revenue. I mean, because they're not gonna even probably have a shack for the salesman to get warm on a cold day. You know, so so there's no economic development with that. Now, might they sell more cars? Maybe, all right? But I really, if we wanna have any type of beautification of Route 20 East, I don't see a parking, you know, parking lot for cars.
Okay.
You know, but as I mentioned earlier, if they want to do something on their side because they've been there so long, you know, I'm not sure what they can come up with there. They've squeezed as many cars in there as they possibly can right now.
I think that's already happened.
Yeah, so the
They
idea
start
is...
stacking them one on top of each
We
other.
want economic growth and we want beautification. Now, I've traveled that and I've walked part of it. I'm trying to think, and maybe you guys can, ladies can throw out a few ideas. What do we really expect to happen there? I'm not sure. I mean, there are limitations. There are things that they can do by right. There are things they can do with special permit. But I'm trying to envision, as I walk part of it the last week, what's going to go there? I'm not sure. Because my concern, and Mr. Chairman, I've mentioned it to you in the past, all right? It's not going to be a supermarket. There are 3 supermarkets 3 miles east of there in Sudbury, all right? There are retail stores 3 miles east of there, all right? But even Sudbury has some vacant ones. And Arcade Plaza has done very well. 10 years ago, most of those stores were vacant, you know? So
I think you would expect more like specialty retail
Yeah.
or specialty grocery. You're not gonna get a big grocery store. But
see-
you might get something smaller that's interesting and fun to shop
I
in.
mean, they're full now, but, you know, I'm not sure what else I can see along there. I'm not sure if some of the storage places in future years, you know, could be torn down and the building go up, and I'm trying to envision what could happen 10
So a few years ago, Counselor, might be 5 or 6 years ago, that whole driving range, that whole area and the area next to it, one was owned by Jeff Batta, the other, and his partners, the other by, I think, Marcello, where all the warehouses are.
Yes.
They put, I think it was 27 acres, they put it up for sale together, and they got offers, and then one of the parties backed out of it. So you could easily see areas like that assembled.
That's
And you could do
probably
some-
the
some
site.
great, interesting thing, and
I-
some other areas could be assembled together.
I've
Yeah,
done a
who
lot of
knows?
business down there because of the stones, the masonry stones, and because they even have mulch down there. So, I mean, there's quite, I guess, probably is close to 27 acres there. That's probably the area that could be developed. And I'm trying
That's
to
one of
think, you know, what's gonna go there, because the way the bird flies, you know, the treatment plant is only, what, 300 yards away?
Yep.
I
that'll-
mean,
that'll
that's a
impact it.
concern. You're not gonna get an office building there, and you're not
Although
gonna get...
they've got that pretty well under control these days.
Yeah, but still it happens, and I'm not so sure if you're gonna see an apartment complex there or an office building.
Don't know.
Yep.
Counselor President Clancy and then Counselor Roby.
Yeah, I have to run out of here in a few minutes. I have another meeting upstairs. One of the things I have to point out to everyone here is that from the Halfway Cafe to the Sudbury line, there is no sewerage. So that is going to be one of the things that will hold back any form of development until such time as we get sewage down there.
But that is in the works, Mr. President.
What?
That's in the
Well-
works. At least the mayor told me that that's going to happen.
Well, they're gonna put in the lines when they redo it, and they have to put in a pump station. That's the problem. pump station is $1 million. So one of the things that you have to really think of down the road is that you're sort of hamstrung until such time as they do get a pump station down there. Raytheon has their own, the apartments beside them have their own. And, you know, I think that there is a great potential down there for the land use. I take a look at the area that Marcello purchased. I think there was the intention of putting in some form of a used car lot, but it was not properly zoned. I think that one of the things that we have to look for is that if we have a successful business within the community, we have to support those businesses. But before I go, just one question. I just wanted to ask Josh this one. With a building 85 feet tall, what type of construction would that be, Josh? Class A?
It would depend on how they are building. I'm not sure in terms of classes, but in terms of stick-built or steel.
You can't stick-build anything 85 feet high.
If they, you see some building types where they build a concrete podium and then stick-built on top of it, and they can get close to 85 feet.
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually, the 85 feet is actually the thing that I worry about. You know, I don't want to see an 85-foot stick-built building down there. I want to see an 85-foot building that's made of Class A construction.
All of that height would require the special permit, so there'd be
Yep.
the level of review for that.
Okay. I got to run.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yep.
So a couple of ways we can go. We can walk through, well, why don't we walk through the table of uses, because I think that's where there were a lot of questions. So Josh, if you want to walk us through that.
Sure.
And I had hoped the building commissioner would be here tonight, but he can't. So we're probably meeting again on Monday to go through some of the definitions. There's all those different recreational uses, and some seem a little funny how we've done them, and so we'll go through that. But Josh, if you want to lead us through the changes we've done, and councilors, if you have questions about uses, please bring them up.
Sure, so everyone has the use table. So we're focused on the yellow column, which is the proposed zone for the proposed Wayside District. And I'll just go through these kind of in big clusters just to help us move along. But the residential uses are on that first sheet. And what we've done is basically follow everything that was in the business district except for a few changes. So we moved conversion of a two-family dwelling to a three-family dwelling from special permit to no. We moved multifamily dwelling. That's a special permit today, but we left it as special permit, but added a notation that it's only to be as part of a mixed-use development. Boarding and lodging homes go from special permit to no. And those are the changes that you see.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Jouer.
Thank you.
Yes.
Could we go back, comprehensive developments? Could we get a
Yes.
definition on that, please?
Yeah, so the comprehensive developments, in my opinion, is kind of a unnecessary zoning type because it refers to 40B type developments, which is a state legislated act that allows developers to end around local ordinances if the community has less than 10% affordable housing on their subsidized housing inventory. So,
And that bypasses the council, and they automatically can do those.
So whether or not you have it defined as comprehensive developments and whether or not it is allowed by special permit or allowed by right, if you're under the 10%, it wouldn't matter how it's defined in your own zoning.
But we're saying yes on those for that. You have to, okay.
Well, it wouldn't matter, yeah. I mean, it's good, it's fine to say yes. It would be relatively irrelevant if a developer can do a 40B in your community. It wouldn't matter if you say yes or no or anything else.
Okay, thank you.
I actually don't know how Marlborough stands on the subsidized housing.
We're above our level
Okay.
at this point.
So the community has control over those by that fact, but not necessarily by the zoning.
My guess is that in a few years, if we get close, it would make sense to invite some kind of friendly 40B in and get a project that the city wants, but, that's going to be several years down the line. So business uses.
Sorry, I missed one on that first page too. Trailer mobile homes goes from special permit to no.
No.
So turning to the second page. Sorry. Residential accessory uses also change from yes to no.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Jouer.
I just want to go back. Trailer mobile homes. You know, a lot of our seniors can't afford the new types of homes that we're building in this city, and I'm wondering if...
So Peter, essentially, those mobile home parks that are there obviously can still operate.
I understand that,
But you
they-
probably don't want to open a new mobile home park on frontage of Route 20. And that's what we're talking about here. I don't mean probably, you definitely don't want to.
Right. No, all right, I just, okay.
So I know where your heart is, but that's really not what we're talking about.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
So
Josh, accessory uses, these things are always kind of vexing to us. Residential accessory uses, no. What would that mean? Where's my definitions?
I don't actually have the literal definitions in front of me, so I can't give you the exact language, but it would be any use that is accessory to the residential, so it would be, does anyone have the definition in front of them? Garages potentially, I don't think it would include accessory dwelling units. It might include a small shed or storage type.
Yeah, you know what, well, I don't mean to put you on the spot. We'll ask the building commissioner when he comes in on Monday.
If I
It's
may,
kinda his
Mr.
bailiwick.
Chairman.
Counselor
It says
Roby.
tool shed, playhouse, tennis court, boathouse, other building or structure for domestic use, for residences, and for taking of no more than 3 lodgers or boarders by a residence in a dwelling, except in residence C. So it seems like we don't want single-family homes on Route 20 anyway,
No.
so.
Good, that's good then. Thank you, Counselor. Okay, Josh, sorry, go ahead.
No, on the second sheet, finishing out the residential uses, we've changed artist studio live work from a no to a yes, and recording studio live work from a no to a yes.
So we might have a little bohemian community developing down there. Might be fun, right?
Chair,
Counselor Tenera.
do we want yard sales, charitable sales possessed, do we want that there?
Looking for where that is.
Oh, very top, very top.
Very top.
Oh, we're back on residential.
Yeah, just at the top of the page.
I don't know, can we stop those things? Do we want to have yard sales and bazaars and flea markets? Probably not.
Not really.
Not really? Not really? Not really.
They're already allowed in the business, so the businesses that are there can do them now. What?
I don't really know who's doing them, but.
I don't think it
Yeah.
matters. I
So,
mean,
so
my
probably
opinion.
a no would be good there, you think? Somebody has land and they start having a flea market?
Exactly.
Not what, Counselor Landers will not be happy with that.
Well, I see the one out, once a year, they have it out Lakeside Oil. And that's a fundraiser, which isn't bad. So if for charitable, that wouldn't be bad. But if someone decided from, May to October to have, a yard sale or outdoor sale, I'm not so sure if that's what we want.
Counselor Irish.
How frequently do they occur? And then the other thing is it something we could do with a special permit? Say someone's doing something for just a weekend sale.
I wouldn't want to drag them through a special permit.
Yeah.
Is there something we can do in a footnote, Josh, that says only charitable?
Yeah, nonprofits.
activities once per year per business or something? Or no more than twice per year?
If I may,
Counselor
going
Roby.
by the definition again, it says that they're not conducted for business purposes, that they really are only charitable sales or bazaars. So if you keep that number 8 there, and it goes to this definition, and it's not going to
Yeah,
be somebody who's setting up
So
a
it hasn't been a
business as a
problem, okay.
yard sale.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we're good with it
It'd
then.
be all right then, I guess.
Counselor Tenera, we cool?
That's fine. I was just trying to get,
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. It kind of slipped by me there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's all right. So we're gonna keep it as yes?
We're going to keep it as yes.
Okay.
Because it is just charitable.
Bah humbug.
All right. Josh, where are we now? Who knows, you may be buying a piano or organ out there next year.
So we're moving on to business uses. Right at the top, convert building to office, bank, or insurance use. We're changing that from a no to a yes. Commercial kennels is a yes, we're changing that to a no. Writing academy is special permit, changing that to a no. Hotels, special permit, changing that to a no, but then adding a new definition of hotels less than 100 rooms, which would be a boutique hotel by special permit.
So I've gotten a few questions about the boutique hotel, and someone was just asking me, why don't you have conference facilities in there and all that? I mean, I can't imagine you would want that in a small hotel or that it would be productive, but, right?
I think they could have a conference room or something within that use, but
Right.
I don't think it would probably match up with conference facility.
So
in
like
terms of-
a boutique hotel is not gonna have a huge room like a Royal Plaza, just, the two don't compute.
Correct.
All right. Councilor Jouer.
Thank you. We're going through this list, but what is the market on the east end of town? What are people looking for? What are people looking for to put there? I mean, we can go down this list all we want, but if we don't know what people want, what's the market down there?
Well, what we're figuring here, Counselor, is what we want.
What we want.
Okay, so we're trying to put in place conditions that will encourage development, but a certain type of development. So rather than it be somewhat of an unguided missile, we're hoping to gently, over time, guide into certain businesses that will hopefully be more productive, and hopefully over time to make the area look better, and hopefully over time to make it an area that it's nicer to live and work and play and that type of thing. So this really isn't about, we're trying to do forward planning, and we're trying to decide what things make sense in that zone, like Mrs. Roby asking, do we really want a big parking lot there? So there are businesses that would definitely come down, all down that strip and sell used cars. We could have a heyday doing that. Nothing would be vacant, but do we really want that? Not really. So that's
Well, I'm just
what we're
thinking
doing.
of the past history of Route 20 East.
Yes,
For years, nothing worked down there.
yes.
We've had a variety of stores, of businesses, and, now, and I understand what you're saying, we're trying to set guidelines, but I see a lot of no's.
Yes, that's correct.
And are we gonna know ourselves out of bringing people in, I guess?
I don't know. I don't think there's anything that we said no to everything we're saying no to, we don't want, which is
But what's
okay.
marketable too, I think that's my opinion, we have to look
I
at
don't
what's marketable down there.
We want a big flea market.
I don't want a big, no, but there is, I don't even know, Well, we'll keep going, when I come to something,
So the idea is we brought in all the experts, we did all the focus groups, we went through all this, what makes sense in this zone, what type of business are we trying to encourage, so that it's not gonna happen in 3 years or 5, over the next 10, 15, 20 years as things turn over, as lots get assembled, as the new road comes into play, hopefully conditions will get better so that we can have businesses that are sustainable and we make it a nicer place to be, really.
Well, I think that's what, I'm gonna be rather blunt here a little bit. I think we need to hear, I need to hear that from the experts. And
He's
they're
looking right at
here, but just, kind of the words that you just, because, I don't know, I just got concerns over some of the things that,
Well, well, then let's stop and go through it.
well, no,
Do you
we'll
want-
keep going and
No, let's go. Do you want commercial kennels? Do you want assisted living facilities?
Well, there's one down there. I mean,
Do you want more of those? Are they good for business?
are they big? I wouldn't have a problem with another beautiful, like we just did on Bowling Street, an assisted living facility down there. There's one down there now that it's old, the novitiate, the old novitiate. I don't know what it's called
Right,
today.
but down at Bolton Street, that's not Route 20. What we're trying to do here is something different than there.
Well, I just don't want to, I feel like we're marketing ourselves, I don't know the exact words I'm looking for, but, I just think, I want to make sure we're marketing ourselves properly. We all have
Okay, I
invested
mean,
in,
I understand. That's why we've been dealing with the economic development people for 6 years on this.
Yep.
And why we've had all the focus groups, talk to the business owners, the people who own the land down there. What do you think is good? What do you want us to do? What do you want us to add? What do you want us to take out? And this is literally the result of all that work is this. And then we had a meeting in July and we changed it again and came out with a new version, probably version 3 or 4.0. And then we started that. Now this is our second or third iteration since we had the public hearing as we keep trying to make it better and better and better. We're not guessing here. Doesn't mean we're right.
well,
But we're not guessing here, Counselor. So, Josh, if you want to continue.
Sure, and I think just to chime in on this conversation too, what we've tried to do is look at the land use table through the lens of the purpose and vision that has been established for this new district. So that's really the approach that's being taken, and that's to encourage compact mixed-use development that makes walking and biking better with enhanced compatible land uses. So that's really the approach that's been taken for each use, and we've kind of considered it through that lens one by one. So continuing down the list, we are at a recreation center, goes from no to special permit. Private clubs and nonprofit, special permit to no. Clubs, yes to no. And self-service laundry, yes to special permit. Commercial greenhouse, yes to no. Motels, special permit to no.
So if you could stop for a second.
Sure.
So back up above, sales room and all that, we're going to get the building commissioner in. We want to talk about that. And still unclear about that. If you can have a kitchen and bath business with a showroom there, I mean, that might be part of multiple businesses in there, and that might not be a bad thing. If you have a little, that might be something. I don't know why we would necessarily say no to that, although we don't want all these tiny little things. We're hoping for bigger things. But do you have an opinion on that, or So I'm looking at sales room, wholesale office or showroom, wholesale sale and warehousing.
what page?
Page 3.
Toward the top of page 3. Yeah. Yeah. So we just need to think that through a little bit. You know what I'm saying, Josh?
Yeah, currently those are assigned as they are today, so they're no in the business district and would be carried forward as no's. But I do agree.
And yet they're all over there. And I think it could be they're called retail sales or something. And so it gets a little confusing with the table of uses, and that I think we're going to get the commissioner in and kind of walk through it.
Not having those definitions in front of me again is a little bit of a disadvantage, but I agree, some of the uses which could fall under that definition may be appropriate for what we're talking about.
Okay, so we'll iron that out a little bit.
Yeah,
Councilor
I think
Landers.
what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, is true. Right now, there's a rug showroom, there's a tile showroom. What if a medium-sized furniture store wanted to move in? That would complement the rug store and tile.
Right. I think that's gonna come under retail, but it gets confusing for
Yeah,
us.
it really does, because
Right, right.
what we're looking for is people would shop, and that's why we're talking about contiguous parking lots. But remember, we're gonna have sidewalks along Route 20 when this project is done.
Right.
So it's conceivable that, a person could walk from a rug store, carpet store, to a paint store, to a furniture store, or a tile, so.
Go and
we
get a
wanna keep-
piano,
we
put it
wanna
on your
keep that
dolly
in mind, yeah.
and walk it home, yep. Yeah. Okay, Josh, go ahead.
So I'm on page 3 now, and I think I left off on motels, which was special permit to no, down to brew pubs, which is special permit to yes. Places of assembly, special permit to no. Outdoor recreational uses, special permit to no. Outdoor storage, yes to no. Gasoline filling stations, from special permit to no. Auto service facilities, special permit to no. Car wash, special permit to no. Open air markets, special permit to no. Shopping malls, no to special permit. Soil removal, yes to no. Accessory uses, yes to no.
Mr. Chairman?
Counselor.
Now, Josh, you skipped over car parking lots and garages, special permit. Is that, we want to leave that as special permit, or no?
Oh, good one.
Yeah, that was still special permit, and also the use which we added that additional notation to, which we were discussing earlier, note number 27.
So if I'm hearing, I've seen 1, 2, 3 say no to these car lots and that, what, councilors, do you want to weigh in?
I'd say remove it.
I know you, yeah, I know 3 of you. I'm asking the
I'm
other
sorry.
2, do we want to keep in for accessory car uses and have car lots on Route 20?
I'm with Council Landers. I think perfectly on that one side. It is the Wayside District name. I wouldn't want to be seeing car dealerships across Route 20.
No. Okay, let's take it out then. It goes.
And if I may,
Counselor.
I think we need to get the clarification from the building commissioner on what he thinks that's for. To me, there's the difference, as I said, between a car showroom lot and a parking lot for cars. And I don't know why it's a special permit now, because you have to have a parking lot if you've got a business, and you have to have parking for.
Well, I think it was a separate parking lot, separate from your business. So if you have a parking lot across the street, it's a different matter. And it was really a place to park your cars for sale, that you couldn't fit on your own lot.
But it doesn't say anything about for car sales. It just says parking lots and garages. And the only thing is that they have to be 100 feet from the intersection, which is, I don't understand that part either. So, I mean, I guess, I'm not saying they shouldn't come out, but I think we need to clarify exactly what 27 means for.
Okay, so what do we want then? Let's ask that question. We don't want car sales, period.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
I would definitely remove the language that he's got on the additional language for
Right, on number 27?
I would delete that.
So Josh, if you can, yeah.
So we'll remove the additional footnote, which does, I think, add to the current primary use which is listed there. The primary use with our unamended note was to have a car parking lot or garage that is the primary use. So not parking that's required in support of other uses, but that you'd only have a parking lot or a garage.
So then that should be a no, not a special permit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's correct.
Okay,
So 27, that's
okay.
all right.
Good point, Counsel, thank you. All right, so what other changes? Shopping malls, did we do that one?
Public, private, or commercial recreation establishments goes from special permit to no, and that's the last one on page 3.
Okay.
On page 4, restaurants for employee use go from no to yes. Looks like the next one's down in the agriculture, public and institutional use section.
Well, wait, so it's drive-through facilities are now special permit. And that was inserted by popular demand from the councilors.
Correct, but sorry, that's a change from our previous.
Right.
Previous
Iteration.
version,
Yeah.
but not a change from the business district.
Okay, got you, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Counselor,
as he's going down, and I know he's gonna reach there, the medical marijuana and the adult use marijuana, is
Yep.
that part of the?
just about to get there, yeah.
Is that part of the zone that we've already approved?
It is, but because we're adding a new zone, technically, this would no longer be the business zone, it would be the Wayside District, and it wouldn't have been allowed. And I know Counselor Ossing thought we should put it back in by special permit, which, you know,
So-
folks. So we're really, it's unchanged, is what the result will be.
Okay, so Route 20 from, and
It's
I
basically
don't
on the
remember.
east and west sides of Route 20, you'll still be able to do that.
Right, but the
By special
cutoff
permit.
wasn't Wilson Street west before, it was from the Sudbury line?
So
to-
it's completely unchanged.
Okay, that's all I need to hear.
What would have changed is if this is no longer the business zone, you wouldn't have been able to do it on the in the Wayside District.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't adding,
We're not adding, we're
Okay.
just not taking it away. Okay?
Fair enough.
But good question. And again, that was at request of the council, so we did that.
Mr. Chairman, while we're on that, though, the actual definition in 45 says it's those portions of the B and LI districts. So if this is not a B district, but a district of its own, they wouldn't be allowed, would they?
Well, I think if we change if we add a new zone and permit it in that zone, then it is permitted. Because it's only allowed in those two zones, but now we're creating a new zone.
But when
So I'm
we-
not 100% sure of,
Yeah, when we
Jason?
did the special zoning to allow them under the ordinance change, we very clearly put it in B
Right.
and LI. So to me, we either have to modify this to also be BLI and Wayside, or we have to take it out of here. And I'll defer to legal. but-
Through the chair, I think it's worth MAPC and I reviewing whether that may need an update, that footnote.
Okay. Good point, Counselor. Okay. Moving along here, let's kind of pick up the pace here. I want to get you folks out of here.
Sure, agriculture, horticulture, floriculture, yes to no. Day camps, special permit to no. Public utilities, I'm on page 4 now. Yes to no. Water towers, yes to no. And then all the way down into industrial uses, associate accessory research uses, no to yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I have a
Counselor.
question on that one. 35 says, and it currently is no in the business district, it says that it's activities are necessary in connection with scientific research or scientific development or related production. So unless there's a building, which those would have to be in limited industrial, I believe, there shouldn't ever be any of these in this district, because they wouldn't have the use to go with it.
That
It's
seems
very
to make
specific
sense.
research use. It's not just an accessory use. And it's whether or not on the same parcel as activities permitted is a matter of right. They're accessory to activities necessary in connection with scientific research or scientific development. And
Okay, let's put a pin in that, and,
if we never allowed them in the business before, why are we allowing them now?
well, that's a good question. So let's put a pin in that, and Josh can get back to us on that, and we'll make a decision.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, particularly with the smaller footprint of the district now. That would probably be less applicable.
So do we just want to change that to no then?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
when the district was potentially encompassing other parcels which might have included those types of uses, it might have made more sense to have it.
Right. Okay,
So I think that's fine to change to no.
all right, done deal.
And then on to the last sheet, number 5. Dry cleaning, yes to no, yes to special permit, excuse me. Accessory uses, no to special permit. Accessory uses in service buildings.
And
And
if
self-service storage.
Council Roby.
Again, a question on that one. The definition of that one specifically says that it's on one or more permitted uses in the LI or I district. So this is not a district that that would pertain to. And again, it was not ever in the business district before.
I think that would fall under the same category as the
Okay,
previous.
let's kill it.
We had, I think at one time, an LI parcel or two in the boundary of the district.
Which makes sense, because it is a yes in the LI.
Okay, is that it, Josh?
The last one was just the self-service storage facility, which was one of the new uses in
Right.
special permit today, and we're changing that to no.
No.
And coffee roastery to special permit.
Yes.
Okay. We're just about done. I had one question, Josh, on the actual zoning itself.
Okay.
Under letter B, site plan review. I feel like we made a mistake in the executive residential overlay district. It was my intention to not have us be both site plan review and special permit granting authority. That's excessive. So in cases where the city council is the special permit grantor, we do not need to be the site plan reviewer. We just don't need both responsibilities. So let's just make sure wherever that may be, that it's one or the other. And the reason we held on, in some cases, to be site plan review ourselves was because we allowed something by right, and we're just too nervous to completely give all control over. We could at least take a look at a few of the things. So that would be my request if there's no objection from the council. Council Roby.
Thank you, because actually that was a question that I had. I know on page 6, when it talks about site plan approval criteria, it talks about public hearing associated with the special permit.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
It reads that there's a public hearing associated with the special permit and/or site plan filing. I don't think we, as a body, would have a site plan public hearing. The site plan, by my understanding, we've said site plan would be site plan review because that's 270.
Right, we did actually have a public hearing for site plan review for the Green District, which...
Because we were site plan review, I
Right.
thought, where
Right.
this says site plan will be as in 272.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I
Which
see
is
what you're
site
saying.
plan
Yeah, yeah.
review
Right.
committee. It's not us. So
Right.
I wasn't sure why this body would ever, other than to making sure we had any conditions in site plan for a special permit would be part of it. But if somebody can do something by right, they wouldn't come to us for site plan, they would go to site plan.
No, if they can do it by right, typically they're coming to us. If it's one of the things that we say. So in the downtown village district and some of these others.
But we don't want to be site plan for this, do we? I mean, I thought that's what you just said.
We don't want to
wanna
be. So what we have typically done is, in some of the bigger things, we've said, okay, you got to get a special permit. Or downtown, we've said, for these big buildings, you can do them by right, but we're going to be then site plan review to make sure it looks the way we want, et cetera. And here, there's actually not many things by right down there. Nothing big is by right, so we don't need to be site plan review. And so I think that's your point, so there would be no need for a public hearing.
And then if I can also, on page 2, under the parking and the curb cut, it talks about residential units are minimum of 1, and I know everything is a minimum, so those would be special permit, but I know at a recent site plan meeting, the building commissioner was pretty adamant that there are lots of both commercial and residential, that there is not enough parking on them, and he is absolutely adamant that any future buildings, he would push for not doing, the city council can waive parking requirements if we feel like we want to. So I know it says minimum of one, but if you've got, even if you've got only a one-bedroom, I would still argue you've got 2 cars. You've only got 1 parking space. Where's the other car going? And I know people argue with me that's not true, but I don't know too many people that,
I don't know,
families
I just
that don't
sometimes
have 2
worry about,
cars.
in anything, mandatory minimums, when, if we end up with a project that clearly doesn't need it, and now we're wasting space, we're less productive. You know, I'm gonna be gone, so I don't, you know, it's gonna be up to you folks, but I'm assuming you're gonna make reasonable decisions, because we don't know what the future brings, and to be able to have some flexibility, because having big expanses of paved area that's not used is a waste in every sense of the word.
It is, but I think in a typical residential development where they need to come in for a special permit, the parking requirements are more than 1 per minimum, 1, it's based on the number of bedrooms that you have. So I guess I would just ask us to look at that. And then on
And Josh, if you could think about it too, but I think sometimes when you're doing mixed use, the thought is, okay, people go to work in the morning, people come into the same location for business, and then the cycle reverses. That's typically what people think. So do we have to have the required minimum parking for each of those uses that are in the same spot? And but it's worthy of discussion.
And I think Apex is a perfect example for
Nobody
me
lives there.
that we, well, I guess I would consider a hotel sort of living there. On page 5, under E, I guess FE, the electronic message boards, and I guess I'm kind of surprised. It says expressly approved, that it's subject to the provisions except, with the exception that the message board can be at the top now, where in the rules it can't be at the top, and it can display no more than 4 colors. I thought we could only have 2 colors, and that they can have logos, and they can have a display time of 20 seconds.
Did this get somehow taken out of the HRMUOD? That's what it is, so let's untake that.
That's exactly where it came
Let's
from.
undo that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
I was, it's like, this got past Counselor Delano?
It did not, it did not. But that was on my list, yeah.
So that's striking all of E.
Right, we kind of allowed for a special deal and it bit us instantly as they pushed the edge and did all the things they weren't supposed to do, so. Once bitten, twice shy. Thank you for that, Councilor Roby.
And then my only other one was on M, where it talks about major or minor amendments to a site plan approval may be made by a supermajority. So again, I guess the question is, site plan approval related to a special permit as opposed to every site plan?
Or you could say where the city council is the site plan grantor or permitter or whatever, but
and
I
I
don't
guess
think there's
we-
any of them in here.
Maybe between legal and Josh, we could figure out that terminology, because to me, if we're gonna have that it's provided in 272, then the city council doesn't have anything to do with site plan. It goes to site plan review
Right.
for site plan.
Right.
If we want to be part of it, if it's the special permit granting part, then
Then
I
we
think we
control it
need
anyway,
to
yeah.
clarify that. But I don't even know if we need
Yeah.
to be part of it for a special permit. Let them do their job, and the conditions are the conditions. It's in the
Right.
special permit. We don't need to, and they
Right,
need
but we
to
could
come-
always add other things that the council thought we needed them, but yeah, I agree.
Because
I
we've got
agree
the
totally.
design review, which to me covers the way the building's going to look.
Yes.
They have to come to us for that anyway. That's separate than site plan. So,
Agree. So, let's see, people feverishly taking notes. Is that it for you? I had one last thing, which is on page 3, way up the top, number 4, regarding curb cuts. So one of the major things we want to do, Josh, is reduce the curb cuts. And part of the idea was always that we're going to allow you to do these other things, But if you want to do this other really good thing, we got to get rid of those curb cuts. And here, it seems more optional. And so if you could just relook at that, because I'm not sure we're going to get where we want to get to if we still have 1,000 curb cuts up and down the street. So just think about that for a little bit.
And you might know more than I, Route 20 is a state road. Do they have to approve curb cuts?
They have to approve new curb cuts. What we're talking about is closing up
We're getting rid of.
curb cuts,
yeah.
yes. It'll be much better for traffic flow. Anything else at the last minute here? I've abused your kindness and hospitality here, so it's getting late. Josh, anything you wanted to add, or Meredith, or counselors? All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming out. Josh, Meredith, thanks for being here tonight. Jason, thank you. And everybody else, Counselors, you where?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to table?
Table, yes.
A motion is made and seconded to table. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's right. I'm looking at thin air here.
Motion to adjourn.
He's disappeared.
So, 4-0, motion to adjourn is made and seconded. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Thank you. We are adjourned at 7:23.
And we're back Monday night.
Thanks again, people.